Hi there. In this lecture, we joined Magnus Carlsen against the world. This was the Raw Chess Challenge in 2010. So Magnus Carlsen played with the white pieces, the world played with the black pieces, choosing moves by online voting. 3 top world team advisors suggested candidate moves for each turn. These were Maxim Vachia-Lagrave, MVL, Hikaru Nakamura and Judith Polgar. So the global audience voted for the move they preferred. Okay, so Carlsen had to beat the best collective move chosen by the thousands of voters advised by the 3 Super GMs. So it was a successor to the earlier Kasparov versus World match in 1999. So let's have a look at this game. We have d4 for Magnus, knight f6, c4, g6, knight f3, bishop g7. So we have a King's Indian defense fianchetto variation. d6, knight c3, knight c6, white castles, e5, d5, and now knight e7. So already this is actually a slight inaccuracy. Knight b8 may actually be the strongest move here. Trying to strike at a downside of d5, that c5 might be weak, and this is like plan of the knight going to c5 later. That will be a good plan here. So for example, e4, a5, a3, knight bd7. White does have an advantage, but it's limited. It's important to limit white's advantage and not start to make a series of inaccuracies. But it does seem in this game, it's quite vivid that there's actually quite a long series of inaccuracies from black. We see e4, c6, another inaccuracy. So here, if a5, this isn't ideal with the knight on e7, but it's still worth doing to try and slow white's queenside play. We could play queen c2, knight h5. c5 would be good for white to accelerate the queenside undermining operations. And let's say this position, white has a very pleasant position here. So this would be strong for white with a small edge, but limited again. a5 would be worth playing. It is worth playing. But yeah, c6 does seem to be making things worse. If knight h5, c5 again, and let's say h3 here, c6, this position, knight takes here, knight takes, rook takes, here rook takes c5, again a small edge. Knight d7, again with these f5 ideas, potentially, f5 doesn't have to be played immediately. White has an advantage here. The same knight e8 might actually be worse than knight d7. So b4 here and knight g5. This will be a very good position for white. So anyway, things are going downhill here. This is accumulation of advantages through inaccuracies of the opponent, in fact. a4, bishop g4, another inaccuracy. White's advantage is increasing here, move by move it seems. If a5, b3, we have a very pleasant position here with white. So bishop g4. Now this could be considered a tiny inaccuracy for Magnus a5. It seems h3 might be the strongest. Black really doesn't want to give up the light square bishop because statistically, let's look, there's pawns on dark squares. All of these light square weaknesses could be amplified later, that bishop using them later. So if black doesn't want to give up the bishop, let's say bishop d7, black could try and get some counterplay like this, offering d6. It could be completely ignored though. b3 and white has a clear advantage. We can actually torture that backward pawn. Magnus is very good at torturing backward pawns clinically without taking them sometimes. That might be better than taking. If taking, black sees a little bit of activity with bishop e6 and white's edge is actually limited here, believe it or not. So yeah, it's better to torture the backward pawn in this case. So anyway, a5 though was played instead of h3. We have c takes, another inaccuracy. White's accumulation of advantages is just driven by the inaccuracies of black's play. So queen d7, again, yeah, black's position is becoming really, really bad now. If b6, a takes, this position, we've got that b pawn as a target. White has a clear advantage here in any case. So queen d7, bishop e3, rook fc8, queen a4. Yeah, this is another perk of a5, vacating that a4 square. If the queens come off, white's just got great pressure on the queen side. We have knight e8. If queen takes a4, rook takes, we're looking forward to rook b4. So both of these pawns being scrutinized. All the pressure on the black position, no pressure on the white position. Yeah, it's pretty unpleasant. So knight e8. We have knight d2, queen d8, queen b4. And now knight c7 makes the position even worse with knight c7. If rook c to b8, f3, bishop d7, knight c4, h6, queen b3, white has a clear advantage. Okay, so knight c7 actually makes things even worse. We have knight c4. Yeah, I mean, there was a trap set. If queen takes b7, rook c to b8 actually traps the queen. So, yeah, Magnus is calculating a bit, it seems. So knight c4. And we have knight a6. Queen takes b7 here, hitting the knight on a6. Doesn't matter about the c4 knight. That's taken. Queen takes. Okay, so pawn up. And now we have rook b4, f3, bishop c8, queen e2. Yeah, that was good to get the queen back to e2 here to protect b2. So queen e2, f5. We have queen d2, bishop a6, rook f to c1, queen b8. And now knight a4 is cute. So there's sometimes interference tactic, knight b6 to hit the rook, because we've got that kind of killer common square on b6. That's something for black to watch out for. The rook moves. We have rook c3. The rook moves back to b4. We're still x-raying the rook. And this is great with the x-ray tactics. We're still x-raying the rook here. We have rook c to a3. Okay, so we've still got this idea of knight b6 now. Okay, we have f4, bishop f2. G takes would give black a bit of activity, which is not needed. We don't need to give black any activity or counterplay. This is just a big advantage for white. So bishop f2. We have bishop h6. Now to shut down counterplay, maybe a slight inaccuracy from Magnus, just g4 will do the job, and then we can carry on the queen side. There's just nothing, absolutely nothing happening over here. There's just no counterplay. But Magnus goes with knight b6. A bit flash here, because even, factoring in black's possibility of f takes g3, we have f takes g3, so hitting the queen. The queen takes on b4, so it looks as though, well, this is a bit of excitement, winning two pieces for a rook, potentially. We have bishop c8, though. If a takes, the knight remains pinned. If a takes b6, so it is two pieces for the rook, but white has this big pass pawn potential. Bishop h3 here, for example, queen a5, and it's a very dominating position. Queen a7, looking at e7, queen c7. This is just an absolutely winning scenario. So let's say bishop takes d5, e takes, bishop takes. It's the exchange up, and we've got this passed b pawn. And you might be wondering, why don't we just take on a8 there? Sure, queen takes b6 though, queen a3. Yeah, white still has an advantage here, that's another way. Maybe it's not as clear though as queen a7. Okay, so anyway, we have bishop c8. And now rook b3 unpins the knight, so we're threatening knight takes rook, so it kind of compels a takes, queen takes. We have queen a7, a6, king f7. And now queens come off. So black's pieces are no match for the rooks here, because these passed pawns are really fantastic to use. Rook b6 supports a6 and hits d6. And another pawn is biting the dust. So king e8, rook takes d6. Bishop f8, rook goes back to b6. So there is a little tactic here which is spotted, this idea of bishop c5 check. So it doesn't really work. Knight takes d5 is just setting a trap, really. We have rook b8. Sure, if e takes bishop c5 check, black would actually be better, miraculously. But rook b8 is played. We have bishop c5 check, king g3. Safe, pretty safe there. Knight e7. Bishop h3, yeah, pin torture now, session. So bishop takes, knight takes. and there's another kind of pin, the bishop's pin to the c8, and now a nice little tactic using the passed pawn celebration hat. Basically, what do you think Magnus plays here for 10 points, which finishes the game? Yeah, it's rook takes c5, unleashing the passed pawn potential a7. This is the end of the game. If rook a5, we're just exchange up, and we've still got this passed pawn on the queen side as well, and our king can come over here. It's very easy to win this. So it's interesting, yeah, sometimes these rest of the world games are not particularly good because the average move tends to be chosen, which is not good. I know this from rest of the world matches at Chess World, where we used to have some in the past. In other cases, sometimes it's taken over by a mob of engine enthusiasts, in which case the rest of the world can be dangerous if the engine enthusiasts kind of take over and force everyone to vote their choices kind of through long arguments about things. But in this case, yeah, the three GMs, they didn't seem to be King's Indian experts on this occasion. It seemed to be a series of inaccurate moves, giving black completely lost position strategically without any counterplay whatsoever. So quite a fascinating encounter overall. Hope you enjoyed this, got some instructive points out of it. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed this free sample lecture. It's from one of my courses. You can check out my courses at Kingscrusher.tv. So you'll get these coupon codes which will give you great discounts. I have over 50 courses now, been working on them for the last few years. All sorts of chess topics, chess skill topics like tactics, calculation, visualization. And you can see my previous bestsellers highlighted. So I do hope you check out this Kingscrusher TV page. It does help support the channel and encourage me to share with you more free samples. So comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. And if you really, if you want to know the specific course the lecture was about, please do leave a comment in the video, and that will prompt me for a pinned comment, etc., just to clarify for this particular video which course it was from. Okay, thanks very much.